had people message me and say, I don't understand this whole Terrible Twos thing that you always do. Is it funny? I don't get it. Futurama was better than I expected.
Futurama was a fun, futuristic romp in the future.
Futuristic was a funny, futuristic drama.
Nice. Very good. New name, too. Hey, everybody, and welcome to Fallingtower's Watch the First podcast. Podcast in which we watch the first episode so you don't have to. We usually talk about it longer than the episode would be, but never mind that. With us, as always, is my partner, my friend, your friend, musician, comedian, Mr. Michael Kenyon Rosenberg.
Hey, everyone. Hi. I'm doing things with my hands.
Magician, too, I guess. Also with us, superstar actress, to know her is to love her, Miss Hana Hatae.
Hey there, hi there, ho there.
Wow, great. That feels like pirate talk.
It's from that 70s show, I'm sorry.
All right.
I stole it.
WTF, that 70s
That
show.
70s show. Oh, that's right, yeah.
If you guys want us to review a show, in the comments below, just say WTF, that 70s show, or WTF Frasier, which means watch the first Frasier, or watch the first Futurama in this case. So that's what we're doing today. We are doing Futurama, and it came out, 1999 or something?
99, yep.
Wowie. You want to tell us what it's about, Michael?
I surely do. A delivery boy named Fry awakens from a state of suspended animation and finds himself in a futuristic world populated by aliens, robots, and spaceships.
Also, guys, do us a favor. This is the most important part of the show, truth be told, is go ahead and support us. We love your support. We love your friendship. How can you support us? Why, it's free, of course.
Easy.
You just hit subscribe. You just click the bell icon for notifications. You can comment in the comments below, like our videos. Really, it's all free. You can do it all in a matter of like 10 seconds, and it means the world to us. So thanks for doing that. We'll wait while you do that.
Please do it. You won't regret it.
Thanks, Hana. You won't regret it. Great. Awesome. So let's talk about it, shall we? Now, the way we start off the show is we talk about what we expected before watching the episode, and then we say what we actually got. So we start off, we say, this is what I expected, and this is what I got. So first things first, Michael, before you watched the episode, what did you expect?
Well, I have watched this first episode maybe a dozen times in the past. Obviously I watched The Simpsons, and then when we heard that Matt Groening was coming out with a new show, I was very excited. I watched it then. So I guess if I'm saying what I expected back then, I would say that I expected a funny science fiction sitcom cartoon.
What did you expect when you watched it this time?
When I watched it this time, I expected to watch the same show that I've watched a bunch of times. So.
Makes sense. I could see that. What about you, Hana? What did you expect before you watched this first episode?
Well, knowing it was from the creator of The Simpsons, I was expecting good things. Basically, The Simpsons in sci-fi, I guess, or similar to. So I was very excited.
By the way, everybody, if you're saying, who is Hana Hatae? I know I recognize her from something. Why, she's from Star Trek Next Generation and Deep Space Nine. She played Molly O'Brien. More on that later.
Shame on you if you didn't know that, first of all.
Yeah.
Rude. So rude. Ooh. Get out now. No, I'm just kidding. Stay. Please stay. Hang out with us.
Anime fans need to watch Star Trek. So I'll tell you what I expected. I expected it to be kind of mediocre. Like, you know that Simpsons dude, Matt Groening, is funny and witty, and we watched The Simpsons when we were kids. But I feel like I watched parts or entire episodes way back in the day. Like parts of it. I have very vague, maybe a few minutes of it, and it seemed boring or dumb or whatever. I wasn't interested. So I kind of expected something medium, I guess.
Medium.
But I'll tell you, what I expected was different from what I got. Right after these other two people saying what they got, Michael.
So first I'll tell you what I got the first time that I watched it, which was back in probably 1999 when it first came out. I got a funny science fiction sitcom comedy from Matt Groening. That's what I got. But then I'll tell you what I got this time around was seeing, and I've got an example of this also. I've basically like paying more attention to it, like really looking at like every frame. I was able to catch a lot more little detail. Like for instance, that this bar is named Akbar, which is a nod to Admiral Akbar of Star Wars.
It's a trap. Very good. I missed that.
So yeah, there's all I mean, Futurama is packed with all these kind of nods to not just Star Trek and Star Wars, but all science fiction, even going back to like the old science fiction from like the 1950s. If you look at the screen behind Ryan, if Ryan, you could show us your screen behind you, like you can see these spaceships invading Earth kind of look a little bit like spaceships from the 50s or like War of the Worlds or something like that. Not exactly War of the Worlds, because I think they had like the appendages and stuff like that. But that's one thing that Futurama does really well, is their writers are really smart, and they give all sorts of nods and homages to classic science fiction and science fiction throughout the ages.
What about you, Hana? What did you get?
I honestly got what I expected. Science fiction version of The Simpsons, basically. But I did notice some of the clever nods to different sci-fi things of the past, and I actually thought that was really cool.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, let's talk a little bit more about that later, because I know some good stuff from there too, for sure. Okay, well, I'll tell you what I got, because you guys were clamoring for it.
I wanted to know, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I got a few chuckles, and I got some added respect for the subtleties and the comedy of these smart writers.
Mm-hmm.
So I got something that was better than I expected. It was fun. It was smart. It was funny, because I can't help but be like prejudiced to old humor. I feel like if something's 5 years old, it's not funny anymore. I'm like, God, I don't want to watch something from the. I mean, it's funny, but like in a sarcastic way. Like, aha, look at what they used to think was funny back in 2009, losers. But I'm like, no, clever humor always works because it's clever, Topical humor less, because it gets lost in time. Anyway, so that's what I got.
Oh, you didn't think that the Richard Nixon head jokes weren't funny because Richard Nixon hasn't been president, and like.
I did wonder about that. I'm like, are we supposed to have more than a passing knowledge and interest of Richard Nixon for this to be funny?
Yeah, that was pretty weird.
But I liked those heads. That was very smart and funny.
Yeah, Leonard Nimoy, and
of course you gotta love that, right?
Throughout the series, like later on, I know I'm not talking about just the first episode here, but like throughout the series, you do get like the entire cast of the original series, and I think they have some next geners in there too. So
wow. So since we're already diving into it, let's talk about the humor of the show. Because as you just mentioned, the Leonard Nimoy head, that was one of the funny, subtle things, is after he's done talking, he's like, oh, dignity or whatever, quiet dignity. And they come by, they're like, lunchtime, and they just sprinkle some fish food. He's like, no. I'm like, that's funny.
Yeah.
In any decade.
Right.
In any decade, it doesn't matter who it's not funny because of who the person is. It's just the joke is clever. It's funny. You don't have to know who Leonard Nimoy is to laugh at that joke. That's funny. And there were a lot of a lot of it's very harmless humor. Like I like to laugh at shock humor. So and a lot of people do, or like, gross humor or whatever. That's why it's really impressive when people can make you laugh without anything, nothing shocking, nothing gross, nothing weird. It's just clever. Like Adam Sandler is known to do good humor without anything too crazy or shocking. This does
now
that
he
too.
is. I mean,
yeah. Well, even back then he was never that bad, Another one of those things was when Leela is calling her backup. She's like, request backup, and they're right behind her. They're like, okay, we'll be there in 5 minutes.
5 minutes. Yeah.
That's just good, funny humor. That's solid wins right there. What do you guys think? Do you guys have any?
My favorite humor, I mean, since the first time I ever saw this episode, my favorite scene at all, my favorite piece of humor is when Bender literally shits a brick.
Yeah, I rewound that just to be 100% sure that that's what I saw, just to make sure it was funny.
It's funny because, like, you think of the expression "shit a brick." You don't actually expect anybody to actually shit a brick, but he's a robot, so he can do things that humans can't do.
Another funny moment. Let me just jump in on this one, but because this was one of the best ones too, was when Fry first meets Leela, and he says, "Hey, can I ask you a question?" She goes, "As long as it's not about my eye." And he's like, and she's like, "Is it about my eye?" He goes, "Sort of." She's like, "Fine, go ahead." And he's like, it's kind of about your eye."
What's the deal with the eye?
What's with the eye? What's with the eye? Anyway, that
Ryan,
was
you're hogging
funny.
them all. You need to leave some for Hana.
I know. Well, I was buying her more time.
I know. I'm trying to think of some. No, I've been trying to think of some the whole time, and now I'm just blanking because you guys are stealing all the good stuff.
All the good ones.
Of course
Let's
you
just
would.
let's just wait. This is the moment, guys, to make sure that you subscribe and comment below and say, "Hey, WTF Simpsons, watch the first Simpsons," or WTF Robotech, watch the first Robotech.
Ooh.
Or tell us what your favorite funniest part was from Futurama.
Yeah.
The first episode only, though.
Yeah. Or if you think Futurama is really great, let us know. Say, dude, you guys, watch the whole thing. You've never seen Futurama, you idiots?
Yeah, Ryan.
No, I actually hadn't seen it either. And I'm one of those idiots.
Me too. Yeah, team idiot.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if this is more stupid than funny, but once he goes through the little time capsule, or like, what is it, the freeze thing?
Cryogenic chamber.
Suspended animation, yeah.
He comes out and he learns what year it is, and it had only been 1,000 years, and he thought that he was in there for 1 million years.
Yeah.
But you did not even bother to do the math.
That killed me. Fry is just an idiot, and a lot of the humor in Futurama is based on the fact that he is just an idiot, and that's a prime example.
Also, his voice was weird. Did anybody notice that? I was like, is this how his voice is always going to be for the whole show? It doesn't seem like a good voiceover voice, but I guess.
No, I didn't notice.
I guess, and Mike's looking at me like, no, that's his voice. So I guess that's.
So first of all, the guy who does the voice of Fry is Billy West, who is like, he is like what do you say? He's like a voiceover icon. He's done voices. First of all, he voiced both Ren and Stimpy.
What?
Whoa.
Yeah. That's rad.
Let's, you know what? Before we change that, because that sounds like a lot of good stuff there. Let's finish talking about this humor aspect of things so that we can put a nice little bow on it. And Hana's like, come on. I thought we were going to move on to something more interesting.
No, I think something I like about the humor that was in this is that a lot of it was very subtle. So you really had to be paying attention to the whole thing. Otherwise, you look away and someone starts laughing and you're like, wait, what just happened? And it's just like for one split second. And Ryan, like you said earlier, it's very clever humor. You really have to pay attention. And it's stuff that is simple, but yeah, but can really, really crack you up.
Like the picture behind me, while he's sleeping, like
All the different
aliens
things
come,
happening.
they destroy the buildings, then they build up like castles, and then those get shot down again, and then they build up again, and just little things, little sight gags like that make us laugh. It's simple, it's easy, it makes sense, it's clever at the same time.
The fact that Fry was trying to get away from being a delivery boy,
right.
And at the end he ends up being a delivery boy for his
and in the middle he's a delivery boy too.
Yeah, and then he's like, all right, I'm a delivery boy. All right, he's
all right,
like, happy about it
for his older nephew. So interesting.
Yeah.
I also found Bender to be funnier than I expected.
Oh yeah, Bender's the best.
Because in the very few moments I'd seen of it way in the past, I remember going like, is the robot supposed to be the funny guy? He just seems stupid.
Mm-hmm.
But he did make me
John
laugh.
DiMaggio does the voice of Bender.
Like when he says, when he steals, Leela's bracelet or watch or something like that.
Ring.
The ring, and
and then she's like, hey, did you just take my ring? He's like, oh, here it is. He's like, well, that solves the mystery of the missing ring. That calls for a drink. And he pulls out 3 bottles and he drinks all of them. Like, there's a lot of good jokes right there in like 5 seconds,
Mm-hmm.
Bender is crass and rude, and the very first line that he says is kind of his catchphrase throughout the entire series. Bite my shiny metal ass.
Is that kind of like eat my shorts?
Yeah. Kind of, I guess.
That basically defines him.
Yeah.
As a character.
Yeah, I'd say.
I like when his arms fall off after pulling.
He puts them back on, and then Fry's like, how did you even do that?
Which is funny because we all thought, we're like, wait, did Fry? He's like, and Fry goes, I don't even know how you did that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good.
It is a funny show. You guys are right.
All right, so you want to tell us all about the voiceover, guys? Because I didn't look any of this up, so I don't know who voices. Oh no, I know that Peggy Bundy does the voice for Cyclops, right?
Right.
I know Leela. Katie Seagal is. Right. So I thought that was Katie. Yeah,
Katie Seagal.
Leela.
Yeah, she does Lilo and Stitch.
Yeah, Leela. Correct. The correct way to say that is Leela. Ryan loves to say things wrong for fun, though.
Yeah, Tila.
At least it's fun.
Tila, WTF He-Man. Sorry, please continue.
Carry on.
As I was saying before, Fry and Professor Farnsworth and a host of other characters throughout. One of the cops, you could even tell is the same voice as Fry, is voiced by Billy West, who is a legend of voiceover work. He did both Ren and Stimpy. Let's see, I pulled him up on IMDb here. Both Ren and Stimpy. He did. He obviously they're all working on the new show Disenchantment, which is the new Matt Groening show. WTF Disenchantment.
Oh right, that's a good one. Yeah, WTF that one.
Yeah. Well, he's done a bunch of stuff on Robot Chicken.
Never watched any Robot Chicken.
Done a bunch of stuff on The Simpsons, obviously. He does Zoidberg also, who's a character that we didn't meet in this episode, but who's probably one of my favorite characters.
Is that the guy that goes like, "Good news, everybody"? Or
no, that's like Farnsworth. Farnsworth does the "Good news, everybody."
Okay.
I thought you hadn't seen it, Ryan.
I just am aware. We have a friend named Darth that really likes the show.
Yeah.
And so he mentions it a lot. So I remember hearing him say these things that I'm supposed to get. And that's one of them. And I remember him saying the name Zoidberg before. Because that's just
I've actually heard that reference.
Why not Zoidberg? He's an alien, but he kind of talks like a Jewish doctor.
Well,
he's a Jewish doctor alien.
Aliens can convert to Judaism.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, but there's a video on YouTube where Billy West goes through all of his different voices, and it's great. You should look it up if you're interested in that. So. And then Bender is voiced by John DiMaggio, who also does a bunch of different stuff. He's done some stuff on American Dad,
Nice.
some Scooby-Doo stuff. basically, and there's another video on YouTube where John DiMaggio is kind of going through all his different characters as well. And like when you hear some of these guys, these characters, and you're like, oh, that's him. Oh, that makes perfect sense now. Oh yeah, that's Bender. That's Bender. Yeah.
It's fun linking them up.
Yeah. Like my wife and I were big into Disenchantment. It's still going on Netflix. By the way, no, I'm not trying to plug it or anything, but WTF Disenchantment. I like it. It's a good show. Same makers of obviously it's Matt Groening who made Simpsons and Futurama, and also John DiMaggio does the voice of the King. Billy West does a bunch of voices too, and so all those guys get to work together again.
Nice. I'll have to check it out.
There's no holdovers from The Simpsons into Futurama, though.
You mean character voices?
No actors.
I mean, there might be guest spots. I can't really recall at the moment, but there's no all the actors from The Simpsons are the main actors, at least. Like Dan Castellaneta and what's her name? I can't even think of them all right now, but all that they're not. None of them really do regular voices on Futurama. So
okay. Well, I did kind of think I might recognize some voices, and there was a little kid at the arcade at the very beginning that I thought might have been the lady that does Bart Simpson's voice.
Oh, that's cool.
Because there was
I wouldn't be surprised.
There was a little kid at the arcade that just said one or two lines or something like that, but could be wrong.
A little cameo in the first episode. Wouldn't surprise me.
So Mike's checking that right now.
No, I don't think so. I think that's. It looks like that might be the same lady who did the voice as the head museum feeder.
Okay.
And then also Fry's girlfriend Michelle, who left him.
Mm-hmm. So here's something else that I was noticing that we kind of touched on a little bit earlier was the sci-fi and Star Trek nods in the show. I kept hearing things that reminded me of Star Trek sounds. Mm-hmm. Like when I think it was when the door whooshes open.
Yeah.
It sounds like Star Trek. And there are other...
Well, and then Fry's even like, when he sees the doors like opening like that, he's like, oh, it's just like Star Trek. And then he steps into the door and it slams on him.
Right. And there was another point when there were also like song cues, like composition cues, like at least twice we hear the first few notes of what sounds like a Next Generation sound or a Star Trek the original series song, and it's about to go into it, but then it just kind of fades off into something else. But at least twice I heard Star Trek type music just titillating us. I don't know if you guys caught that.
Yes, they did have a few things here and there. I wonder if they didn't put it in there though because they didn't have the rights to it.
I'm sure.
Yeah.
They were homages. Is that something that continues on throughout the series, Michael? Do they have like Klingon sounds and like you hear tribbles in the background?
I don't know, to be honest.
I thought you watched the series.
I've watched the entire series multiple times, but I don't know. I guess I was too enraptured by the comedy to pay attention to the music. So,
all right.
But if you know, leave us a comment and tell us that we're idiots. And obviously it's throughout the whole series, Michael.
Yeah, at least 5 times I heard things that made me think of Star Trek. That, I think one of them, you're right, was when he actually said, just like Star Trek. So that one doesn't count because that was him actually saying it.
Yeah, and of course the Leonard Nimoy head, that's obvious.
Right. That one sounded a little bit like Spock, I think.
But were there any other like super obvious sci-fi references aside from like the Akbar?
Akbar was a good one that I missed. Yeah.
That part. But like
I'm
Star
sure
Trek was super obvious because they say it and then you see Leonard Nimoy, but I don't remember any. Like I remember subtle things here and there, but not any that I can like pinpoint.
Well, I can tell you that in the opening sequence of every episode of Futurama, they always show a short, tiny little clip some kind of science fiction cartoon from back in like the 50s or something like that. It's all black. It's usually black and white, I think. And then it just plays on the little screen while they're going through it's called New York is what they call the city.
Oh, so like at the very end of the intro when he runs into that billboard thing,
right?
They have a different cartoon being played on there every time, but there's no way that
does this one have Star Trek on it? What does this one, the first one, have?
I don't.
So I'm wondering if like
it was too quick. I really didn't pay attention to what it was, but I know that each episode is always a different cartoon,
like
or a different part from a different cartoon at least. I mean,
from an actual cartoon from the 50s or whatever. Oh, that's cool. That's cool trivia. Didn't know that. There was I also saw some homages to The Simpsons personally. Like when he was going through the air tube thing, Frylock, and Mike shook his head at that.
I didn't though. Go keep going.
What?
Frylock is a reference to Aqua Teen Hunger Force.
Oh my God, yes.
Which is another one of our friends' favorite shows for whatever reason.
But do you know what the name Frylock is a reference to?
No. Grimlock from the Transformers, the dinosaur?
In Shakespeare, there was a character named Shylock.
Merchant of Venice?
Yes.
Okay. Frylock and you're probably right. Yeah, I guess he must be. So anyway, the thing is
clever. Everything's so clever.
Too clever for our likes.
Yeah. When he's going through the tube, he sees there's like a three-eyed fish, and I feel like the three-eyed fish gag was something I remembered seeing in The Simpsons. So it was
definitely a nod to The Simpsons for sure. I mean, for sure.
I mean, it'd be weird if they didn't put any nods to The Simpsons, in my opinion.
Well, especially in this first episode, because at this point, like The Simpsons, I mean, when did The Simpsons start? Who knows? I'm not even going to bother looking it up. But
80
something, right? Yeah. So it's been
87 or 88.
So it's been going on for at least 15 years or 20 years at this point.
I feel like it's been like 20 something. No. Oh, I want to look it up.
Well, I think right now they're on like season 30 or something like. But I'm talking about at this point, it's been at least 10 years that The Simpsons have been on.
Mm-hmm.
And they're just a mainstay, and the fact that they're still on is just kind of amazing, right?
It really is.
But and that Futurama is not on anymore is just a shame, really. It was actually Futurama at one point. I mean, it was on Fox, and then it was canceled, and then they came out with 4 like mini movies.
Really?
They were like 4. It was like pretty much like 4 episode movies.
Did you watch them?
Oh yeah, I've seen them all.
They're good.
They're all good.
No, that's not a real thing.
No, they are all very good, Ryan. So
very good,
very good. And but then after that, those things got so much attention that they brought Futurama back for like another couple seasons.
Weird.
When did it end? The second time?
I can't remember.
Okay.
But it did. That's the shame, is that it did end.
Yeah.
And now it's over.
So I will say, though, it was... I didn't really know if I was going to like it. I didn't really expect too much. I thought it was going to be okay.
2013.
Oh,
nice.
Wow.
So off and on for 14 years.
Yeah.
And then on and off, and then back on again, and then off again. So it moved quickly, but it introduced the characters in a way that I like characters being introduced, which is you get kind of like a main character, and then you get to know the person, and then you add another one. And then you add another one. So it's really easy to keep track of them. Now in animation, it's already kind of easy to keep track of them because with animation, you can make them look totally different and super weird, and they have crazy voices, and they're more like caricatures, right? But on some shows, they just you get 7 or 8, 10, 11 characters thrown at you in 15 minutes, and you're like, I don't even know. Is this this guy before? Is this the same guy that was married to that? No, this is a new guy. Well, then who's the guy that, I can't do that. This was very easy for my brain to follow. There's an idiot who runs into a robotic idiot and runs away from a Cyclops woman, and then they find some old guy, and they're on a spaceship. Great pilot. We get it. It all makes sense. Now they're going to go on adventures, presumably on this guy's spaceship. Is that right?
Yeah.
Yes.
It's a solid way to put it.
Correct.
And I agree with the character introductions.
And
it gets overwhelming.
There's a few more characters that we meet in the next episode, I think, too. So.
Is it one like a lobster or something?
Yeah, that's Zoidberg.
I heard about that.
Okay.
I don't really... I heard about the lobster.
It's funny. Hana and I are just like, this show is kind of like part of pop culture somewhere. Right. We're aware of things without having ever really seen it.
You guys need to watch it.
And as sci-fi lovers, you would assume that we've watched it. But no, I don't know. For some reason, I never have.
Zoidberg is the lobster.
Zoidberg.
Hana, were there any?
I'm not Zoidberg.
Wait, is he evil?
No.
Oh, well,
he's also an idiot, though.
His name is very evil sounding.
Zoidberg. Hana, were there any parts of this thing that you just didn't like, that you thought were stupid, or characters that you hated, or parts where you could tell they were trying to be funny, but you just rolled your eyes?
Yeah, it was so much thrown at me all at once.
Any negative aspects of this thing, or any disappointing parts?
I mean, I could say I can't pinpoint anything in particular, but there were some things that were very cheesy. I mean, but that goes with the type of comedy that it is.
Ryan didn't even ask me because he knows I'm just going to say no.
Well, no, it just made me think of something right then. But I want to find out from you, Michael, even though you're going to be like, nope, it was all great. That's why I watched it 12 times.
Yeah, it is all great. Yeah.
How about this? Who was he delivering pizza to in the first place?
Oh, yeah. Like
he walks in, he
prankster, whatever prank.
Right, the cryogenics lab. He comes in. First of all, do pizza delivery people just walk into people's homes and put it down and then go nap? Did we even find out who ordered the pizza or why he walked? I mean, some of that stuff I was like,
maybe in New York, where it's like everything's in buildings, you have to enter the building to go to where the person ordered the pizza. But I will tell you that it is later answered, later on in the series.
Well,
who ordered the pizza, who called him, and who made up the fake name Icy Wiener.
Okay.
Icy Wiener.
There's like a little shadow that you see next to the chair when he gets or when he falls back into the little freezer thingy.
Wow.
But that was there was nothing else in there, so I don't know what it is, and it wasn't like a specific shape per se, but there was some kind of shadow.
I'm not going to ruin it for you guys, but it is answered. So you guys, it's up to you now, viewers at home, and Ryan and Hana, to watch Futurama until you get the answer of who.
Michael, did Hana catch something in one episode, in one viewing, that you didn't catch in 12?
Yes.
Nice. Good job, Hana.
Even though I knew
what
happened, but I don't know. I assumed that they didn't put anything in it.
Maybe this is too meta, but my prediction is that it's Fry from the future. That he's like, man, I can't die in this future knowing that past me is not going to do this unless I order the pizza in 1999 to make sure it keeps happening.
Nope.
And maybe though,
if you were to guess that would be a guess.
It's a pretty wild guess.
It would not be correct though.
Yeah, but hear me out. Maybe it is him because.
Oh, okay.
Because, if he's like, hey, I need to make sure that, past Fry, Frying tea husk. So anyway, okay, tell us who it is.
You want some fries with that shake?
Meatwad.
But did we even meet who it is? Like, do we know who it is?
No, you've never met him. I mean, if this is the only episode that you've seen, that you've not met him or her.
Blast. How
So
many
you just
episodes?
have to keep watching.
How many episodes do we have to watch to
know
know the answer to this?
I don't
Because if it's
know,
more
but-
than 4, no.
You can just
problem.
Google it.
Probably more than 4, yeah. No, you can't Google it. That's cheating.
I know.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, that does pique my interest a little bit. Not as much as the quote, "Now strip naked and get on the probulator."
That's a good one.
Also, know it's a funny little.
That does not sound appealing at all.
No.
Why?
Or
What do you mean?
Fighting the probulator. Anyways, I'm going to just leave it at that.
Yeah. Probably best. But yeah, it's a good observation that it is disturbing. Yeah.
Also, a dog chasing a cat, both on jetpacks, I thought was a
So
funny
cute.
item that I enjoyed.
Future is going to be great.
Bender saying, "I don't want anyone to think we're robosexuals."
Yeah, but that would just mean that Fry's the robosexual,
Mhm.
and what's his name, Bender
Would
be
It's
a
just the robot, yeah.
humosexual.
So that's your problem with that.
Yeah, I mean there are a few things I could nitpick.
The fact that the cops had lightsabers that they just used as
Oh my god! But then
clubs.
they were just
But they're just regular clubs.
because they come out. The sounds like a lightsaber, and then they just start hitting it with it.
Right. That was
Makes
one
a
of
little zoom, and it's just nope.
right. That was one of the references. Totally,
That
like
was
it just
good,
sounded
yeah.
just like Star Wars.
Yeah.
That was an obvious Star
I
Wars.
can't believe
one.
I just didn't even look at my notes when we were talking about the references because I had it right there.
See,
in my
if I
notes.
would have known to take notes, if you would have told me.
Ryan,
You don't have to take notes. It's up to you. The only reason we take notes is because otherwise we'll forget what we just watched. Like if I don't take notes on it, then how am I going to know, all the points that we got to hit? I'll be like, oh, it was pretty good. I enjoyed it. And then someone will say, remember when he did that thing? I'll be like, oh yeah, that was cool. That was funny.
Well, that's what I'm doing.
Well, we can't all 3 do that.
yeah.
Otherwise we'll just be like, wait, what else was there? But this way I don't have to
Yeah.
remember.
I mean, you guys are watching a lot of stuff too, so.
One other fun little kind of nugget of thing that I saw at the very end when the professor is like dumping out the delivery boy microchips from his bag. The bag says contents of Space Wasp's stomach.
Yeah.
So that's what happened to the old crew.
Like, okay.
Is that because I don't get it, because I went back and made sure I looked at that, but I was like, no, those aren't wasp stomachs, those are chips.
Right. Those are the contents of the Space
That was in a
Wasp's stomach.
Space Wasp. They took it out. And
That's
that was all that
that's-
was left of the old crew, right?
Right. That's
Yeah.
that's the point. Is like that's what
But-
that's what happened to the old crew.
And they like didn't even question it. They were
Oh.
like, "Oh, what happened? Nah, okay, whatever. Let's do it."
Yeah.
So the chips were the only thing that survived in the Space Wasp's stomachs.
Yes.
Okay. Teehee.
Well, lucky them that they get to meet the new crew
Yeah.
because he seems like a very good. What is he? A doctor or scientist? Right?
Yeah. Both.
Scientist.
Professor, doctor.
Professor.
I guess, yeah. I guess they call him Professor.
And he's
Professor
like,
Farnsworth.
here is my bench, and here is my stool, my sitting stool. Here's a spaceship, and here are some wires.
Yeah, some different lengths
Here
of
are my
wires.
different lengths of wires.
Yeah.
Here,
that's
I'll
good.
show you how I made the
Yeah,
spaceship.
I made the spaceship.
Different
Here are
wires.
some of the different lengths of wires that I used.
I do want to hit one more thing for sure that I thought was funny and that should be mentioned. Otherwise, I would feel sad that I didn't mention it. But this is
I
another
don't
one of
want
those
you to be
very.
sad.
Thank you.
You were gonna say something, Ryan, instead of just leaving dead air.
Yeah. Yeah, let me find it. It's another one of those examples of like, simple humor that is still clever, but it's also harmless. It's not like shocking or harmless. It's just dumb people saying silly things. And that was when Leela and Stitch is, she's going to go after, what's his name? Frylock.
In this show.
Michael?
So Ryan loves to say things wrong.
No, I know.
And so the word Leela is close to Lilo and Stitch.
But who is Stitch?
So he says Lilo and Stitch,
gender or something.
meaning
like
Leela, but he uses Lilo and Stitch as Leela.
Okay, all right, carry on.
Thank you.
Sometimes I have to translate for Ryan. So.
Thank you. Basically, it was just when Leela was talking to her boss, I'm guessing Indian fellow.
Yeah.
And when I say guess, it's because they really laid it on pretty thick that he was Indian. And, he tells her to go after him. And he's like, well, it's your job to do that, whether you like it or not. And he says, and it's my job to make sure you do your job, whether I like it or not. Which I do. I was like, that's funny. Then they beat it to death.
Which I do.
With another line after that I don't remember, but I was like, they didn't need that.
What is it?
My life is good.
You gotta do what you do.
You gotta do what you gotta do.
Is that what it is that they say?
That's what they say.
That's like their motto.
That's how they get you.
Mm-hmm.
So speaking of which, Hana, let's talk about you for a moment, shall we?
Sure, we shall.
So your name is Hana Hatae, and you are an actress residing in the Bay Area. But before moving to the Bay
Area.
Mm-hmm. The best part.
Right. So we're also from the Bay Area. We're from San Jose, Michael and I are.
Yeah.
Oh, both of you. Well, Ryan, I knew you were, but I didn't know you were, Michael.
I am.
Mm-hmm.
Bay Area representative.
That's right. And with that, we can move on to the next point, which is that you acted in a show called Star Trek The Next Generation for an episode, an introduction, and then a whole slew of episodes in Star Trek Deep Space Nine.
Just a few. Which
is why so many nerds like myself were like, whoa, it's Hana Hatae.
I know who that is. Yeah, you may have heard of that show. It's a little show called Star Trek. It's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's me. Hi, guys.
And now you took a long hiatus from, say, like acting and from really like the public limelight, but then you started going back to conventions and such a few years ago. Mm-hmm. What was the first big thing you noticed when you went to your first convention? Was it just how many people there are? Was it how many Star Trek actors were actually doing this weird thing? Or was it just how nice everybody was? You're like, or were you like, because I would think in your shoes, my first thought would be like, really? You guys still care? Like, you guys want to buy autographs and meet me? Like if you've been out of that world, you have no perspective to know that just, we love this kind of stuff.
No idea of what was going on. Yeah. So honestly, like I had no idea what kind of cult following Star Trek had. I did this when I was a little kid, and it was like 6, 8, I don't know. It was a pretty long portion of my life when I was a child, but I did it for so long, and then I stopped doing it. So Ryan, like you said, I was totally out of touch with what was going on in the acting world or even in the Star Trek world. Like
lucky for you.
My family wasn't, they weren't fans. They were just fans because I was on it, so they didn't really keep in touch with all of it. But going to my first convention, I mainly did it for fun because I was like, well, let's see what's up with this. Like it would be fun. It was more for like the fun aspect, I guess, just to see the world of Star Trek. Because I think at that time more movies were coming out, and I don't think there was a new show at the time. But no, I just knew there were so many different shows, and that a couple of my good friends were also fans. Like I would come home when I was living with some old roommates, and they'd be watching I'd like walk in and I'd be on the screen and I'd be like, you guys are watching it again. So that's like kind of how I knew it was more popular than I thought it was. And then going to the convention was definitely humbling, and I guess that's a good way to put it. It was kind of humbling and a bit shocking. I didn't anticipate it at all. Like Ryan, you mentioned how you'd kind of be in shock, like, why are all these people still wanting photos with me, wanting my autograph? And I never realized people like this Star Trek changed people's lives.
Right.
And had I not gone to the conventions, I never would have known that, and it was really cool to go there and talk to people and see how it's affected them. And it's just, it's a great experience going to the conventions, because it was such a long gap between finishing actual Star Trek and like going back into the Star Trek world.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and you, if I remember correctly, there was a moment that you shared with Mr. Colomini when you first saw him in the hallway. Is that right?
Yeah, it was in the green room. So I realized he was going to be there, and I hadn't seen him for like 15 years because we didn't keep in touch after we finished filming. And I was like, okay, this is going to be great. I got to figure out a way to kind of startle him when I've seen him for the first time. And I just walked into the green room and I saw him there, and I ran up to him and I was like, "Hi, Daddy." And he looked up and he was like, "Holy, it's my Molly." And, though I haven't grown height-wise very much, I definitely look much older than I did at the end of filming. So yeah, he was shocked for sure. It was really funny.
That's awesome. I haven't had a chance to ever meet Colum or Rosalind. Is there anything you can tell us about them that we might not have known from, something we might not have known from like watching interviews or panels with them?
Mm-hmm. I would assume that they would be just as nice in panels and interviews as they were to me, but they honestly were like second parents. Like even once the camera stopped rolling, like once we were cut, they still treated me like their daughter. Aww. It was not any different. Like, it wasn't like, cut, all right, go into another room and like, let's stop talking. It was like, they still sat and chatted with me and, made sure I was good and hung out, even though my mom and or dad would, like my actual mom and or dad would be there. They would still treat me just the same every time, whether we were on camera or off. So they're truly genuine people, and I'm honestly bummed that we didn't keep in touch over the years, but every once in a while I do talk to Rosalind on Twitter. That's like our only contact with one another, but it's nice to know that she's doing well. And other than that, I see Colm at conventions every once in a while.
Rosalind was in Mulan recently.
I know. I'm so excited to watch it.
Mm-hmm.
Did it come out yet or no?
I believe it just did, right?
It did. Disney Plus. Okay. I think you have to rent it, but I think it's going to be worth it. It looks amazing.
I just want to see it because Rosalind's there. When I saw the trailer, I was like, "Whoa, Keiko!"
I know her.
Yeah. So now awesome. I want to see it.
Yeah, and I think it's an all-Asian cast, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, nice.
So
probably.
That's a really cool thing. I fully support being Asian myself. Well,
I do remember liking the original cartoon, the original Disney cartoon. Yeah. So I can't imagine this movie's gonna be bad. Mike,
some of the fight scenes look amazing.
Now you have 2 movies to watch.
What's the first one?
Both Mulans.
Oh.
I was like, wait, what was I talking about? Oh, yeah. I already moved on to that.
I was confused, too. I was like,
did we talk about another movie he was I don't remember. Okay, yes.
Both Mulans.
Cartoon and live action. Get on it.
And since then, Hana, you've dabbled a bit in acting over the last few years.
A little bit.
I remember talking to you when we first met. I think it was just online, and said,
after
are you still interested in getting back in acting? And you were like, actually, kind of
sure,
am.
Why not? Let's make this happen. Yeah, no. So you hit me up via the interwebs after my first convention, and it was about Fifth Passenger, and
right.
Yeah, you had asked me like, are you still interested? And I said, sure, let's do this. Let's do the damn thing. Sorry if I'm not supposed to say that.
You're
D
fine.
word.
Thing is fine, right?
The D thing.
Yeah.
I
said shit a brick earlier, so.
That's true. Okay, D thing sounds dirtier than damn thing. So let's do the damn thing. And yeah, so Fifth Passenger, that was actually the first thing I had done after stopping Star Trek. So that was 15 years, a 15-year gap between the two. It was so much fun. Just being on set. It was very nerve-wracking at first, of course, doing anything that you haven't done in forever, anything new is going to be stressful and nerve-wracking, but also very exciting. So on my way there, of course, very nervous, but once I got in on the set and, met everybody and kind of got a feel of everything, it was just like back in the old days on set. So it was a great time.
You got to share a scene with Darnell Davis, our good pal.
Ah, we love Darnell.
Yes.
Yeah, that was awesome.
And Miss Morgan Lariah.
Yep. It's a good trifecta there. But you also acted in something called Renegades, which is an especially happy memory for me because you and I shared our scenes together.
We were in the same crew.
And yeah, I love that so much because there were 5 of us that were the bridge crew of the USS Archer. It was you, there was me, there was our good buddy, Mr. Aaron Eisenberg. There was Madison Russ, who is Tim Russ's daughter. He directed it as well. And our captain was Corin Nemec, who is Parker Lewis Can't Lose. He was also in Stargate. So that was just such a fun crew. And I wish we could have continued on because I was like, that's a bridge crew for the ages.
I thought we were gonna. I honestly thought we were doing well. Maybe fingers crossed we can still get something going after this crazy pandemic. But yeah, that was crazy. That was a really fun. That was more fun in a way because, we already knew each other.
Right.
So I was working with you and Aaron and, I didn't know Corin or Madison at the time, but other behind the scenes crew people that I had worked with or just met before. So, being with friends and, your film family, it makes it that much more exciting. But I remember Corin broke his foot that morning or that night or something.
Ouch. Yeah, he breaks his everything before. Like in the first Renegades too, he showed up with like a broken leg cast. Like literally every time he's filming with us or presumably with anybody, he breaks a leg or an ankle or something. Like that's just his thing. Maybe it's like a superstition. I don't know.
Yeah.
It was
he really is going out there and breaking a leg.
That's what there it is.
Yeah, but that shows he's a great actor. He pulled it off with ice. He's like just that morning dropped a huge weight on his foot and had just like a bag of ice on it and was killing it. So, but that was a really good time.
So what we'll do is we'll make sure to include your social media stuff down below. Everybody follow her on Twitter, please. She is dangerously close to 1 million followers. Please be that 1 million. She's like at 999,000, like what is it, 740? Something like that?
Yeah, something like that.
Right,
all right, hold on. Let me just go right now. Let me
just right there. I've been taking a break from Twitter actually. Mainly on Instagram. Yeah, Twitter is a dangerous tunnel to go down.
Yeah. Any comments on Twitter, Michael?
Nope. She said it all.
Yeah. So let's move on. Everybody, be sure to check out the description box below and comment on what a delight Hana has been as of yet today. So far, but we have not reached. That's because we haven't reached something that I like to call the Terrible Twos.
Didn't we come up with a better name for that or something?
Well, the reason I call them the Terrible Twos is because Michael came up with the name Terrible Twos and basically demanded I call them that. So I just acquiesced.
So this is for children right now.
False information.
2-year-old.
See, that's what I'm saying. It's confusing to people. They're like, every episode, Ryan's like, oh, the Terrible Twos now. And every guest is like, huh?
The best part is that I've had people
Troubling
message.
twos?
Yeah, the trouble with the trouble with twos.
The tribbling twos.
I like that a little bit better.
Yeah. I've had people message me and say, I don't understand this whole Terrible Twos thing that you always do. Is it funny? I don't get it.
Yeah, it's actually not, is the thing, but it's funny to Ryan because Ryan likes to confuse people.
Okay. I can't wait.
That's probably why he likes to say things wrong too, is because it confuses people, and then he knows what he's saying, but then everyone's like, "Oh, what?" And then he's just laughing.
He's just laughing to himself.
Yeah.
And that's the trouble with twos.
Yeah.
So anyway, on to the Terrible Twos.
The troubling tribbles of twos. Okay.
What we do here, Hana, is we just ask the final 2 questions of the show. And it's really like a hot seat. It's really, oof, boy.
Oh, okay.
That's, yeah. So question number 1.
Get ready. Buckle up.
We all answer it, so it's okay. Refuse the twos. Michael Kenyon Rosenberg. On a scale of 1 to 10, what would you give this first episode of Futurama?
I would give this first episode of Futurama an 8.5.
What?
Yeah.
There are no wrong answers. Hana, you can still give it a 0 if that's what you're planning.
8.5.
Is it my turn? Can I go?
Yep. Unless
Yes.
Michael's got more to say
No,
about
I was just trying to say because
justify it.
it was really good.
Yeah.
It wasn't perfect, but it was really good. And it's hard for me to give something, anything above like a 9. And I was tempted. I was so tempted to give this one a 9 because it is a really good pilot. It sets up the humor for the series. It sets up the characters well, like Ryan pointed out. But then also to say if it's a 9 is just it is, in my opinion, kind of pushing down some of my other favorite shows. So.
Upgrading on a curve.
So I'll give this one an 8.5 in that case.
Hana, what would you give the first episode of Futurama on a scale of 1 to 10?
I was going to give it an 8. That's why I was so excited. We're so close. But yeah, he can't beat The Simpsons. It's great, but it's not The Simpsons.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I too was going to give it an 8. And then while Mike was talking, I was like, or should I give it a 7.5?
God damn.
And then I was like, or should I give it an 8? And so that was my thought process this whole time. While I was smiling and nodding, that's what I was doing.
Just thinking to yourself.
But I think that this does deserve an 8. Maybe even higher, but I'm going to stick with an 8 because I'm kind of a curmudgeon about old stuff. I'm like, old 90s cartoon? Ugh. But 80s cartoons, now you're talking WTF, He-Man, Robotech, Thundercats, Ho.
Oh.
So anyway, Michael.
What?
So next is the final question is, for the purposes of this podcast, we all had to watch the first episode of Futurama.
We were privileged.
Now that the podcast is over, Michael Kenyon Rosenberg, would you watch the second episode of your own volition?
For a 13th time, yes.
Wow.
Oh, you can't even ask him that question.
He's been showing his hands a little too much, showing his cards. What about you, Hana? Would you watch the second episode theoretically?
I actually didn't even watch the first one. I'm just kidding.
That would be funny if she's like, everything we said, she'd be like, oh yeah, that's a funny part that I enjoyed too.
I did watch it, and I'm definitely going to watch the second one. And
that was a good prank, though.
Did you believe me?
I did, yeah. For a split second, yeah.
I didn't because you said things.
I know.
But I liked it. I liked the humor, the subtle humor of it all.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Me.
All right, this is the question that Darth has been dying to know.
Because I did watch this one last night. So last night, my answer was yes. After having slept on it, like with everything else, when you're really mad about something, the next day you're less mad. When you're really excited about something, the next day you're less excited. So I feel like this was a very good pilot. I was pleasantly surprised, and it deserves whatever kudos and accolades it gets. But I don't have an interest in watching the second episode. I'm really close, though, because it just set us up for the next episode. Now it kind of makes you wonder, okay, now episode 2 is kind of like the pilot first episode of now that they're on a ship together, what are their adventures like? So it's almost, I'm almost curious enough to watch just the second episode as like the second pilot. But I'm going to say that I just don't, I got enough and I'm happy with it and I can move on.
Don't you even want to meet Zoidberg?
I feel like I already did.
Zoidberg.
Why not Zoidberg?
Why not both? Right? That's what he is. He's the guy that says, why not both?
Maybe.
Sure.
Isn't he? Okay.
There are a lot of memes that came out of Futurama, though.
Yeah.
One of my favorites that I'll constantly post as a reaction to things is Fry saying, "Shut up and take my money."
Right. That's the one. And then it's modified for Star Trek fans. It says, "Shut up and take my latinum."
Yeah.
Anyway, well, Hana, thank you so much for joining us. It's been such a fun time, as always.
Thank you for having me. It's always good to see you.
Right.
New friends.
Everybody, check out the description box below. Show Hana some love. Don't forget to like, subscribe. Definitely hit that bell icon. Mike likes to say elbow drop, flying elbow drop. That bell icon. And remember, it's free and it helps us so much. So please do it. And what I'm trying to say is that
shut up and take our subscription.
I like that. Especially with him. He's doing, oh, you got him there too.
Yeah.
So this podcast was pleasant and brought to you by Hana Hatae.
This podcast was futuristic.
This podcast was a hoot.
All right, here we go.
And a half.
Well, this is the part where I ask Mike, did I forget anything?
I don't think so, but maybe I'm forgetting it too.
Shit. Okay. Well, thank you all for joining us. Please remember in the comments below, let us know what you want us to review. Say WTF, Hell on Wheels. WTF, I Love Lucy. WTF, what's Godfather? Is that a show? That's movies.
No, that's a movie.
The Wire. WTF, The Wire. Anyway, thank you all very much for joining us. And until next time, enjoy our wild America. Remember Marty Stauffer?
Yeah.